That interval that you're playing there, the one in the flat 5.
Yeah, I saw him do it.
That is, someone check me, but there's a famous composer like of old who called that. He's in Latin. It's much more poetic, but it's called the Devil's Interval.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did it with an F and a B.
Tritone, they call that.
Yeah. His was he has a piece I think that starts with an F and a B droning, and it's so dissonant, and it was called. It was called like the interval of the devil or something. Was like what he referred to it.
Wow.
Which I think in Italian or Latin it was poetic.
Yeah. I think you were playing that when you were making your case that metal you can play anything.
Yeah.
As long as it like has a cool rhythm.
Yeah.
I know.
So all about the rhythm.
Wherever
You haven't heard it yet, but I've finished the demo for the next Metal Junkie pack. That's coming out soon.
What is it? Let's tease it. Depending on the schedule,
Can I give you a
be,
hint?
Yeah.
You've heard it before.
Oh yeah.
The riff?
Oh yeah. Everyone's heard it before.
It's in the song.
Funny story.
Yeah.
I was already working on this demo, writing the song.
Yes.
Without the profiles done.
Right.
You know.
And then you're like this.
It was in your head. So
It
you
was in
played
my
it.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but
You never foresaw the baby thing.
no,
I mean,
the
that
baby
was
thing I would never
left
have
field.
thought of.
That's
But anyway, there's a part of the demo where you're like, did you do that on accident? Or is it on purpose?
Yeah.
I'm like, I actually did it on accident. Like, it's the wrong note.
Yeah.
But it fits.
Yeah.
It fits with the vibe. And I think that's the fun part of music theory is that the rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah. I paused the song and went back and heard it a second time because it was so dope. I was like,
Right.
dang, look at
Wrong notes are just, it's jazz or it's metal.
Exactly.
You know, that's a thing.
We've talked about on the podcast before how I actually really love jazz because it's basically just metal that anyone can listen to.
We did a whole jazz opening.
That
was a very...
Did we?
I love jazz.
Oh, you started talking about classical. And
The
then we started
weirder,
talking about jazz.
the weirder, the better with
Yeah.
jazz for me.
I'm on the H's for anyone following my...
Oh, yeah. What are you listening to?
Today was Harry Connick.
Wait, should I throw this in? By the way, this is episode 38 of the Guitar Friends
Hey,
podcast.
38.
Hello. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely-
been 48 seconds for us.
We're definitely progressing, and we're in the late 30s, unlike HW, who was in his mid-30s.
Wow.
But go ahead, sis. What are you listening
Yes.
to? What's H?
Hey, this week's been very interesting because I went from Hardy, which I just showed John.
Hardy, yeah.
It's like bro country, but this last record gets kind of heavy, like rock.
Hardy, I just want to say, Hardy looks like the guy in the frat that wouldn't be there if he wasn't funny. He's way less
Right.
good looking than all the other guys and
Yeah.
not really in shape.
Yeah.
Definitely not the jock of the group, but he must be funny or else they wouldn't keep him around.
Yeah, he's here for a reason.
Yeah.
I went from that to Harry Connick Jr., who's got some great songs and actually a lot of arrangements, like
Very
a lot
jazzy.
of like
Harry
big
Connick's
band
great.
and like instrumental
Yeah.
stuff.
Is it all jazz?
His early career is a lot of like orchestral jazz and sort of it's all instrumental.
So like
Yeah.
big band stuff? Like
Big
that?
band, some
Yeah.
piano, and like a little like quintet maybe. It's
Oh,
like
cool.
very like I don't know.
Like big band jazz.
Yeah,
Like that's where he's from. Like that's
Yeah, and
Like,
he did-
like Sinatra era stuff, right? Big band, that kind of thing.
yeah, some of it is, but not all of it. Like the
So it
ones.
was, later than he started singing.
Yeah, then you kind of hear him go more like pop. He does a lot of covers all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and then writes his own original.
Is that
Kinda
Is that like
jazzy.
the Bublé effect? Is that what happened?
Yes, basically, right.
No, he was that before.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but if he was doing like instrumental and he's like, hey,
You like that?
You
You know,
like-
I got more of these.
Yeah.
Well, I think he had like he was doing like the kind of the crooner thing before Bublé. I think even came out.
oh really?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, a good example is the When Harry Met Sally soundtrack. That's him. You know, so it's
Yeah.
like movie soundtrack, like orchestra stuff, and then he'll do just piano and vocal.
Does he have stuff with like Diana Krall and stuff like that? Or is
Maybe.
it- yeah.
I'm a big fan of Diana Krall. That was maybe a year and a half ago in the D.
you listened to all of her stuff?
Her whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's incredible. But now I'm going to go to Harry Styles next. So it's
Dang, just
quite
all
a
over-
week.
just
yeah.
all over
You're
the
in.
place.
You're in for. You're in for quite a change, I think.
Yeah.
Dang.
Those three
You're a
artists.
long way away from like Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to that.
Right.
All right.
Wolfgang.
Wolfgang Van Halen.
Oh, Wolfgang. Yeah. Well, you got a ways to go for that.
Right.
All right. Guitar joke of the week. How long does it take to tune a 12-string?
Oh, we actually have one right here.
How long will it take to tune a 12-string? The heat death of the universe.
No one knows.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's ever done it.
No one's ever done it.
No one's ever done it.
Wow.
That's it. No one's ever done it. How does the guitar player? This is. I'm not going to say that joke. It's not that good, and it's a little bit offensive. Okay, last one for the day. What's the definition of perfect pitch?
A TU2?
No. Definition of perfect pitch.
All I know is the actual definition of perfect pitch. But
Perfect pitch
No,
is
you know.
Mr. Music Theory.
well, it's not that hard. You have perfect pitch and know what notes are.
It's true.
You play a C, you can name it a C.
It's so true.
There you go. Perfect pitch is the correct angle to throw an ovation in the dumpster without hitting the sides.
The pitch of the throw.
Pitch of the throw.
That might be the best one. Yeah.
That's so great.
Poor
That is
Ovation.
the that's.
Oh,
Are they
man.
out of business, or can you go buy a brand new Ovation guitar?
If China's not making something like that, I'd be
rounds,
shocked.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
someone's got to be making that in China, but I don't know. Someone owns Ovation. Didn't they get bought? I mean, they must be purchased by someone.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ovation's owned by Martin or somebody, and they've just stopped making them. Or
Probably Yamaha.
Were they
Yamaha.
at NAMM this year? Did they have
I
a
didn't
NAMM
see any
booth?
Ovations.
Yeah,
Ovations.
we're constantly just like
I know.
sliding down.
It would be interesting. What they should do is just really commit, because plastic and stuff is like in. Just do carbon fiber, the new Ovations with carbon fiber, do the whole thing, and then like build AI into it. Like just go all the way. Like we tried to be futuristic with the plastic thing, and now we're like a Siri-enabled
This
guitar.
is the new future.
Yeah.
Remember the one with like it was like the cluster of holes on the.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
top.
yeah, like the Melissa Etheridge
So
kind of
good.
thing.
So good,
They
man.
should just do that, and it should be a smart thing inside, like and you can turn on reverb. You know those guitars, those smart ones that have like the reverb and the thing, but it should be all voice control.
Like your one with the tape player over there.
Yeah, not that. That's way better.
Casio?
The Casio.
Casio.
That thing got used a lot less than I thought it was going to get used.
We could pull it out right now. I mean, there's nothing stopping us. You know,
Who knows where this episode is going?
who knows where it's gonna go?
Not us.
Not us. I do think
Not
they
me
should
for sure.
I really do think they should. Ovation should come back and be like the AI guitar brand. They should build in wacky effects, all voice enabled.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I don't think that's their brand.
No. What is their brand? Trash?
I think they saw themselves as a very serious brand.
Sure. 50 years ago.
I remember when I first started playing guitar.
Yeah.
One of my dad's friends had an Ovation, and my dad was like, "Ooh, I love that guitar.
Yeah.
I wish I could have that."
Our worship leader in high school played one exclusively.
The way it sits
It's
on your
so
body,
sad.
it starts
Terrible.
to turn towards you a little.
Right. No,
Yeah,
it falls
it
down.
does.
Yeah.
It's
does,
terrible.
But even when it's on a strap, it doesn't stay like
No,
You know,
it ends up like this.
yeah. It's
It's not the same distance.
It's like a tabletop.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh.
it's terrible.
They should make one that's like a bean bag on the other side. That's just like
Right. So it just like
a
molds to
like
you.
like a couch.
Oh, like a memory foam.
Yeah, like a thing that you use
Yeah.
on the couch. I'm surprised that's
Yeah,
not-
like an Ovation Serta collab.
yeah,
You know, where it's memory foam.
Yeah.
like a memory gel.
like a little computer tabletop for your couch.
Oh, that would be
for your
good.
lap.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It reminds me of those Gretches that have the
Oh
the
yeah.
leather on the back.
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like a country gentleman. or
I know.
something.
Isn't that funny how they have
Is that
that?
for the belt buckle? Is that why they did that?
It's open. You can take it off and it's fully hollow in the back.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, you can pop those out. And there's a hole in the wood.
Isn't it like bolted on there? I mean, isn't it?
It's like
buttons?
It snaps.
Oh, they're
like
buttons.
thick
They're buttons.
snaps.
I've
yeah.
never actually like.
I've
had
never played one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I've
like
just seen them,
like
but-
thick snaps.
I did
Yeah,
at Musicville recently. I changed the strings on a banjo. I've never played a banjo
Sure.
or done that before.
I know you played it when you were working on it.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. How did it go?
It was very weird.
really.
I
Does
didn't.
it have the half string?
Yeah.
Like some of them
Yeah,
have.
they
No,
have a-
it didn't have that.
Oh, it
Okay,
didn't have
yeah.
that. Huh?
But I didn't
So
like
this is
it.
like a Gitanjo.
Yeah, but I mean, it was, it was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
4-string banjo.
Okay, yeah.
But man,
Yeah, because normally don't they
so
have the half
weird.
string
Like,
and it's the
ends there
it's the
and it's got-
highest.
yeah, it's the
It's
highest.
got
And
like
it's
a
the
tuner
highest
right there.
string.
It's-
Yeah.
It's like
it is
what?
nice.
Why?
I know. I don't
Who
get that.
thought
Makes
of
no
that?
sense.
I know somebody designed the instrument and thought this would,
Yeah,
this would be good.
it's like at least on the ukulele. Because my daughter has a ukulele, so I've had to learn how to play it so I can teach her how to play things.
yeah.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
and the tuning is weird. Like the top string is high, and but that I don't know. Somehow that makes sense to me. But having a high one that starts 4
Isn't the
frets
tuning the same intervals as the top of a guitar, but the first
On a
string is
banjo?
on a uke?
on a ukulele?
Yeah, but the first
No.
one's the highest sounding, right?
No.
Okay. I thought it was like, kind of making that kind of a chord or something, but I was able to pick it up and basically play chords I knew on
It's
it.
just tuned in fourths, right?
Maybe. I think maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah. They are fun though. We have one around the house.
It's
and
fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. Everyone plays, Over the Rainbow and
And
sounds
Eddie
great.
Vedder songs.
Eddie Vedder?
Did you ever listen to his ukulele record?
No,
You
does he have a
guys.
ukulele record?
It's honestly, go listen to it. It's incredible.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he just got through the E's not too long ago.
That's why I know.
You know,
It's actually really good.
that is really awesome. I
Yeah.
fear though that we're heading towards a world where even if that didn't exist, AI will just make that exist.
Yeah.
Like it would be like
Take your favorite artist and your
Name two
favorite
things
genre.
you like. Yeah.
We'll put them together for you.
Right.
the AI mashup. It's like what if
I never knew I wanted Metallica's Black Album, but all on ukulele. But now I
Wow.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I want that.
Wait,
Yeah.
weren't you showing me metal music, but it's like 8-bit?
Orchestral. Oh,
Oh yeah, I played it for you guys in the car that one time.
That was
That's
really
cool.
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
like I would love if someone was like, "Can I please hello AI, can I please enjoy Smells Like Teen Spirit if it were done on flutes?"
Only flutes.
Only.
Yeah.
I think you could probably have it do that now.
And then you could just be like, "I want flute, stand-up bass, and the drummer from Def Leppard who had the missing arm."
I want the sound of that.
And that'll happen. You know what I mean? We'll be able to do that. It'll analyze his playing. It'll put in a flute, and then it'll
What was the
put in-
classic rock band with a flute?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
I'm out.
Well, Dweezil Zappa plays with a flute, and his dad had
No,
one.
they had that song Aqua Lung.
Frank Zappa had a flute double a lot of his guitar solos, and it's a very cool sound.
Really?
A clean guitar with a flute on it is like, whoa.
Someone's screaming. I gotta find it. Someone's screaming at the.
Who had a flute?
The one fan
Yeah.
that's like, I know.
Is it
this.
like No Doubt?
No. It's classic rock, man.
What? Is it like prog classic rock? Like
Like they use the flute a lot?
The lead singer played the flute.
whoa.
That does sound like
Jethro
AI.
Tull.
Oh.
The lead singer played the flute.
Don't know
I thought
them.
he played the violin.
No,
the
man.
fiddle.
No.
Devil Went Down to Georgia? Who's that?
That's
That's Charlie Daniels. He's got a park up here. You know that? Charlie Daniels Park up in Mount Juliet?
I believe you.
Devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a...
Shouldn't it be in Georgia?
Bow, bow, bow.
That's a miss.
I think he lived up here. No, the devil's down there. He lived up here.
Oh,
He's in God's country.
God's country.
Tennessee.
Right.
I will say I was recently in Savannah and I kept thinking of you saying down in
Savannah.
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 Right.
More, you got like the molasses
Yeah,
on your mouth.
Couldn't get it out of my head. But anyway.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Okay. I thought it would be cool if we looked at a little bit of the definition control, because this is like a thing.
Oh.
Like, because but actually tried it with sort of two very different sounding guitars and two very different sounding profiles.
Do
So
we have those?
sure
With
we've got
us?
them right here.
We're like, this is bizarro world because we're like,
I know you
swapped right
guys
now.
have like the
know,
wrong guitars.
Yeah.
That just seems.
Are we going to make me play metal and him play ambient worship music?
It worked for the intro, but I don't know
Yeah.
if it works for the rest of this.
Did it work for the intro?
It worked.
The jury's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suze, what's your favorite 18-watt custom
Oh, like 1.3 or
1.3?
yeah, pretty good.
Oh, did I delete 1.3? Here we go. you want to grab that guy? And then we'll
Sure.
I'll do my little.
You want to swap?
Yeah,
You
let's swap. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Look at
Do I
this.
need to tune this?
Probably.
I tuned it a little bit.
Oh, did you? When I
While you
picked it up, it
tune
was
this,
bad.
I will go ahead and tell the story that was the cliffhanger from the last episode. 'Cause we completely forgot.
Oh my gosh.
We
Here we
completely
go.
forgot.
It's so good.
So I can't believe we didn't put this at the top.
Oh my gosh.
So where were we? We were walking, or we were in the car.
You
We
saw
were in a
someone
car.
walking in downtown
Yes.
Franklin.
Yeah, we were in a car, I think, driving by, where I was getting in the car, and we had just come out of a place. Somehow we were getting into the car, because that's where I remember the conversation starting with my kids. I had my kids and my wife, and I got in the car. Maybe I ran in to get something from a store. Getting back in the car, and I said to my family, I said, I just saw a skinwalker or a fake person, but that guy's not real. And then Leo was like, where? I was like, that guy, he's not real. Alyssa was like, what are you talking about? And I go, that is not a real person. That is like an NPC. He's like a non-player character.
Is that what a skinwalker is? Is that the?
No, the skinwalker lives in the neighborhood and runs at night, which I think I found out who he is. And
Oh, I see.
but that's something different, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if those are real. I know that this guy was not real. I don't know what's real, but I know it's not real.
Okay.
And that's this guy. And so,
How did you know that he was not real?
okay. So it wasn't by my interaction with him. He appeared very normal and walking by, just a very forgettable looking person. But he had a shirt on, a black T-shirt that said Marshalls with the logo. And I went, huh. A Marshalls T-shirt. Nope. That's a fake person.
Not real.
Not real.
No actual human.
At first glance, that would appear normal, and it's exactly the type of mistake an AI would make if it if it thinks it understands society and what it is. But the thing is, Marshalls is a store that is known for selling other brands of clothing at discount prices. Armani Exchange, for example. Where else would you buy that stuff? And so you would buy, I don't even know where they sell Armani Exchange. I think
Only
it's just
at Marshalls.
only there.
Right.
And so I saw this shirt and I thought, nope, Marshalls doesn't sell a Marshalls shirt.
You can't go to Marshalls and buy a
There's no
Marshalls.
Marshalls
It's
shirt.
not a
They don't make
brand.
their own clothing.
Yeah.
Their store is about selling the clothing that didn't sell at other places. That's supposed to be Marshalls and Ross and all these things. These are the secondary stores where stuff goes when it doesn't sell. And so you're supposed to be getting the things from JCPenney's and Mervyn's and Sears that shows up there.
Mervyn's.
Dang,
That doesn't
Mervyn's.
exist anymore.
No.
I thought the same thing.
For a
course not.
long
Wow.
time.
I used to love the.
Yeah. Emporium. You ever have those? Remember those?
No.
That was a long time ago. I wouldn't know. I'm only 37, mid-30s. The
I'm gonna make a lot of 40s jokes.
the problem as I see is that Marshalls, no one going to Marshalls wants a shirt that says, "Oh, I love Marshalls."
It's not why they're there.
It's not why they're there.
Yeah.
But that's exactly the type of mistake an AI would make when it generates a person and goes black T-shirt. What do people wear on their shirts? Often corporate logos, clothing, brands. Who's a big seller of clothing? Oh, Marshalls, large seller, retail seller of clothing. This guy fits the demo.
Right.
And so I thought, that shirt doesn't exist.
Also, and so the only way that he would have gotten a shirt like that is if he made one.
Or if someone sold it, like, ironically, for this very purpose. Of,
Right.
like, this is not a shirt people buy. So
Right. But even
Like
then,
a joke shirt.
It's a joke shirt at the very most real.
It's like when Zuckerberg had the bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's on his bookshelf behind him.
I did see
He
that.
was in front of this background
Yeah.
that was books. And now I want to throw this out for people. Looking at what we know now about video and AI video, this came out about 24 months ago. Probably about 24 months ago. And what we see now is I can generate video that is fake of a person. I just saw a video of Caitlin Clark going, what these B words need to understand is I'm the richest in the league. Most of them work part-time at blah, 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 blah.
And it was
It
fake.
looks real.
Right.
And you've seen videos where it's like AI, 10 months ago, and it's like all these extra fingers and the mouth's all weird. And then you see one now and it's like perfect. And so I go, it's not hard to believe that they had this tech in Facebook. They're not giving it to anybody. They had not Libra. What's
well,
their?
And also, like, deep faking has been a thing.
Yes.
And
yes,
what was a technology that existed before just pure AI generation.
Yeah.
And so they could have
yeah. And so, but I think it was like AI, like we have right now, available to us, was what they were using 2 years ago to generate this video. I think Facebook just made it and did it and wanted to see if it could work. And because
I kind of don't believe that, but go on.
Well, because that's exactly the type of mistake AI would make by putting a bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's on, because Zuckerberg has other videos where he talks about Sweet Baby Ray's in a notorious video where he's talking about barbecuing in a video that got out with him and his buddies. And it's funny because he's going, I can't wait till this food's done. And he's like, put more Sweet Baby Ray's on that. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of funny that like people made fun of him, like, how white is this guy that he's like Sweet Baby Ray's, and so I think when they generated the video, they put something that looks like Mark's house. They put all these books behind him and maybe things that are important to him. This to the AI makes sense, and it hallucinated and thought barbecue sauce is known.
It's like holding up a book, right? Isn't it like a bookends? Like
yeah. Like where you would put a nice little vase,
right?
Or like a little hand,
yeah.
like a fist, thing, or like I have a thing like that, like bookend things.
Yeah.
Not a bottle of
barbecue sauce. His wife would never allow it. He would never allow it. A human would never do it.
He is a robot for sure.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. Well,
so you're saying that it wasn't an AI video, but you think he's a robot?
I think he's a robot. Maybe the background was AI.
I think that the video
robot in front of
I'll tell you what I think. I think the video is AI, and we know that there are dummy presidents, and they use them all the time. And there's lots of video of the president moving around that doesn't look like the president. Not just this president. They've been doing this forever. I think it's a security thing where they will sometimes move the president. And they don't, for whatever reason, want the president's. They want to move the president and not have his public location be known. If you go online and you just...
It's like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's like in Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly.
There was so many of them.
There was so many of them.
If you go talk to people... this just came up on a podcast I listened to. It was just a guy who held a fundraiser for a political candidate. And he just happened to, for a minute or two, spitball about the level of security that goes into hosting the president. And his whole thing was like, I've done so many of these fundraisers. I'm sorry if this is distracting. I know you can hear my child screaming like a banshee. I have
It sounds like my Metal Junkie stuff.
Yeah, it does. I have a 10-month-old girl who just screams like a pterodactyl. And I've talked to my wife so many times. We did cry it out with the boys, where we just said, it's not going to pick it up on the mics, but it's insane.
Yeah.
It's like some sort of an animal is just, and she's like, she cries and she's so persistent at night. I go, no, we need to teach her to self-soothe by crying it out. That's what we did with the boy. She's like, but I can't. The boys didn't cry like this. I go, no, her voice is just higher pitched and you're like wired to have more pity on her or something. I go, you used to let the boy, I had to remind my wife, you used to let the boys cry for 10 minutes. Then you would go soothe them for 1 or 2 minutes, put them back down, let them cry, soothe for 15, 20 minutes. You'd do it again. You'd let them go for 30 minutes. They'd always fall asleep by the third one. And then eventually they'd fall asleep by the first one. And then eventually you'd put them down. They'd cry for 2-3 minutes. They would self-soothe. Yeah. It's a skill they got to learn. Right. This child is obviously more delicate. And she just has higher pitched lungs and they're quite powerful. Anyway, I think the video's fake. I think they have fake presidents. This guy was going into the level of security. And one of the things was he was talking about before the president gets there, they come and they scan the place and they make maps. And based on those maps that they send back, they send scouts ahead. Based on those maps, they look at entrances, exit, and they decide where are vulnerable points if you were going to try to break in there. What do they need to control? Yeah. Where is a safe spot? How should they get people in and out? And all these things. Obama used to go to a particular hotel in Vegas, and there's a video of one of the guys talking about and they would control 3 floors of the hotel, above, below, and the main floor. And that also meant that they were controlling access points via whatever could access, stairways or whatever. They also were patrolling. So it's like they for whatever reason, there are times when they decide we do not want the president going in this space with public knowledge. Because if for no other reason we can't secure between here and here to our satisfaction.
Right.
So someone else needs to go. And so if you look online, I think it's pretty well confirmed. There are often times where there is someone else in the motorcade, or the motorcade goes with somebody in it, and it's not the president. It's someone whose job it is to stand in as the president. And so I think Mark has these people. I think he has this level of security because he lives in a public place, open to the public. You and me could walk up to his house. But if we do, we're being surveilled the whole time. He lives in Noe Valley, this little area that's nice.
Didn't he buy like all the houses in the neighborhood?
He bought the houses around him.
I thought about doing that,
Yeah.
but decided against it.
Right. He bought the houses around him, and the houses are kept up like they are owned
Like
by
someone
other
lives there.
people, like someone lives there.
Yeah.
And they're empty, and the flowers are changed and watered, and the mail is brought in, and no one lives there.
I love
And he does this so that he can maintain a relatively normal life, except he isn't a relatively normal person.
Except he's a robot.
He doesn't have a relatively
that. Was
normal
he
life.
always a robot?
No,
So something happened.
something happened.
Okay.
I have a similar theory about Michael Jackson, that he was replaced at some point with like a different person.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I got to hear all these. Maybe
yeah.
not right
Hang
now.
on. I just want to separate myself from you, please, for a moment. I am...
That was John too.
I'm not saying that Zuck is a robot.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's some doctored video, and I'm saying there's probably a level of security that involves stunt doubles and body doubles. And I believe that Mark is probably utilizing the same thing. Just like if you want to look up Secret Service fake arm, you will see
yeah.
many. It is not really contested. The Secret Service will often wear a jacket with a fake arm because the actual arm is holding what the Secret Service uses, which is an FN-19, I think, or FN-7.
They're holding like a rifle.
They're
inside
holding
the
a rifle
jacket.
on the side in their
and
shirt.
have an arm for show.
And there's a fake arm. And you will see, and it's an arm. It's when you see the Secret Service in this motion, there's an arm that looks like this, where the guy has a ring, and he touches his ring. And if you look, you will notice that hand in photos is often different than his skin a bit.
Yeah.
And that's a fake arm. His arm is actually right here with an FN-7 tucked right here. And the reason for that is if he needs to, there is no delay in his draw. He can bring the rifle up.
Right.
And he's not, they can bring larger guns, but it's a long American tradition. We don't really protect the president with guns on display. We don't want him to look like any of those South American dictators that,
Sure.
have people with bazookas behind them. Why? I don't know. We just don't like it. We don't like guns.
Instead, we have this arm trick.
Yeah, we have this arm trick.
Right.
We don't
Hey, you
like
go to
gun-
an airport, people have long guns. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right,
Like,
yeah.
it's not that
That's true.
crazy.
Yeah.
But we don't like to put that around the president.
Right.
Which is why he has the highest security, but never any guns around. Always people. Oh, also, briefcases. If you see a Secret Service with briefcases, there are guns in the briefcase mounted, and those can be popped open, brought up, and boom.
Wow.
And that it's basically a gun mounted in a briefcase.
Demonetized.
For sure.
There's all sorts of videos on that. You know what I mean? Like
COVID-19.
and everyone knows. Everyone knows this stuff.
Wow.
Which is why I think it was so alarming when those protesters were at the gates of the White House, because for a second there I thought we may find out what happens when you try to run across the White House lawn, and I think everyone is naive if you think you could.
Right.
You cannot get past that gate. I do know from a what's it called when it's anecdotal? From an anecdotal story that I heard from a friend of a friend, that there was a person that is a friend of a friend who was allowed to go on the White House lawn. They were military. They're in a military capacity, and they were doing something for an event, setting up for an event that invited service people, and they laid down on the White House lawn, and the radio communication, this channel they were on to communicate with other people. This is a civilian radio. Like, hey guys, we're giving you radios. Go set this up. I'll radio you on this thing. All of a sudden, another voice comes on that says, "Do not go prone on the White House lawn." And he was like, "What was that?" And they just said, "Do not go prone on the White House lawn." And he stood up.
Right.
And he doesn't know where they saw him from, but he was not
Right.
Someone was surveilling him.
100%.
Probably the people on the roof. If you go look at pictures of the White House, there are people on the roof. There's always a couple people on the roof.
There's always going to be people on the roof, and there's always a million cameras.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go prone on the White House lawn.
Of course there is.
You learn something new every day.
Who is this? Don't go prone on the White House lawn. It's like,
Right.
don't do that.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't do that.
We're watching you.
Yeah.
Don't do anything that even looks funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Set up your little bounce house
Be normal.
so that you all can be here Saturday for the president to wave at you. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
do your thing. And that's what it was. I believe it was setting up for the Easter egg hunt that they do for families and stuff. Anyway,
So you never saw this Marshall's guy again?
no, he was
He
fake.
went by and
He was fake.
what do you surmise that they were using him for? What was he there for?
I mean, maybe changing the batteries in the birds.
I'm just gonna leave that one alone.
There is
definition control.
They might be changing the batteries in the birds. They
Right.
only last,
I get it.
you know. A lot of people said that's what COVID was about. Oh, here we go again. They needed everyone to go inside so they could change all the batteries in the birds.
Yeah, you gotta reset him. Yeah.
If they're not using fake birds as surveillance drones, big missed opportunity.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. No one's checking those things.
You get a V of geese up there.
Yeah.
One of them in the back looks a little off.
Right.
Did
You're
you
not
just
really
correctly
looking.
use V of geese?
It's a flying V.
That's great though. I always like all the what is the name for a group of,
Yeah.
you know, this animal.
Like a
Does it-
murder of crows.
Yeah, murder. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just I
that's
think those
a
are so
good one.
fascinating.
What do you call a group of guitar players?
Oh, a bonus one.
I don't know. What?
Unemployed.
Wow. Guitar players.
So sad.
Here we go. Let's do a little thing. You know, we never really talk about guitar on this podcast.
Yeah.
So let's change that. Sooze, you were on
But it's
with a
most about guitar.
unless we get distracted and talk about food or Teslas or how annoying it is that Californians keep moving here and bring their
all their
terrible
terrible
ideas that ruin
ideas
their
in
state to
states
Nashville.
Right.
But mostly guitar. Okay. Okay, so we never talk about guitar on this podcast, so we can change that now. Sooze, this is the 18-watt custom 1-3. Can you play that for us on what is a lovely Greco gold top?
Right. What chord progression should I play? Let's do this. You tell me.
Chord progression by committee. This should
Yeah.
be good.
We've never done that before. You give me the first two and you give me the last two.
Well, okay, but we need to...
It's exciting.
But we don't want... Okay, we did...
Just say a number.
Right.
Just do a number system.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Interesting.
You can decide the key that
Okay.
makes the
Lucky
most
me.
sense for you.
Okay, I'll say 2.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
We'll go 2, 6.
2, 6.
Oh, and see, and I was going to say flat 6.
Let me say 3,
That's okay.
6. Let me just say 3, 6.
3, 6.
3,
That's where I
6.
wanna go. Yeah,
3,
yeah.
6. I was going to say flat 6. And then
3, 6, flat 6. Okay. Wow.
4.
3, 6.
But
flat
then you
6,
gotta
4.
you gotta put a 1 in there somewhere.
Do you?
I mean, you don't have to. You can. Nate can make anything sound good.
That's good.
That's an odd progression.
I love
Like,
it.
It is
I
an
might be
odd
kidding. I think we just
progression.
did
Yeah.
it.
Throw that. So
Anyway.
here we go. We got a nice little. So here we're at definition 4.1.
Okay.
So I just want to I want to show, because we have talked about the definition control and what it does, and it's one of my favorite things about the Kemper, the deep editing parameters that we don't get on, say, ToneX, since everything comes back to ToneX around here. On a long enough timeline, we're just talking about ToneX. We don't have a lot of these parameters like clarity, definition. We really, on Quad Cortex, on ToneX, we don't have any way to really go in and do a lot of editing. We basically have an EQ with it. So the definition control is sort of pitched as choose the amount of low end, and as we take that away, maybe some high end changes at the upper settings. But it's supposed to, in the manual, it talks about emulating vintage amps, have less definition and a more larger flubby bass, and then something that has a lot of definition would be like a more modern matchless amp or something like that. That's in there. It mentions a matchless amp in the, and I think it mentions an old Tweed in the for a low definition and high definition. A lot of times in my head, it's just like bright and bassy. you know. But it is more defined, more tight. And the metal guys, as we're going to like kind of look at, maybe use it for tightness, you know, and getting rid of some of the bass. But I feel like for the low gain side, I normally use it for like how bassy or full or how big or little do I kind of want an amp to sound. So we're down here at 4.1. I'm going to go even lower. Maybe throw it, and that's like pretty basic guitar. Throw it on the bridge there. Go ahead and play that progression or whatever progression you want. Okay, little Marshall amp, nice nice bassy mount. I'm going to put this up to 8 on the definition. How would we describe that?
It's just like lost a bunch of the bottom end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
It made
effect
it very thin.
The effect to me is it gets thinner and brighter.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I think of definition. I mean, look, we'll go all the way up to 10 here. And 0. I mean, it's like not usable.
Very
It's
powerful.
it's so weird.
But the low, these like 3.5.
It's almost like you're changing the size of the cabinet and covering it with
Yeah.
a blanket or
Yeah,
not
right,
at the
right.
same time.
I asked one time what the definition control, and I was told like, imagine you could change the size of the components. You know, and I was like, oh, I don't know what that means. You know
like
what
a
I mean?
bigger transformer or like a smaller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So here's like 3.5, and to me, this is like more on the like the vintagey, looser bass.
Right.
Like this is how I would use it. I would say this amp works between 3.5 and like 6.5 on the definition.
Tried it again. It's good progression.
You know, rocking. Like,
Yeah.
I dig that. And then 6.5, we get like Voxy small.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a dark sounding guitar too. Like for reference. All right.
Yeah.
Let's try one of John's
Metal.
creations. And should I mean, what do you want here, John? You want like the EVH red, or do you want like
give me like a boogie.
You're partial to the boogie, huh?
I like the boogie. Well, the boogie has a lot.
The boogie 7.2, MK7.2.
Yeah, that's fine. Gosh, that sounds good.
It does sound good. Now, you're at 5.7. That's how you created it.
Okay.
Or at least that's how it's saved. Who knows?
how it's saved.
Yeah, that's how it's saved. Do you remember doing any adjustments to the is this a parameter you use for like how do you understand this? Because a lot of these parameters like the clarity and stuff, a lot of them will make a distinction in the manual. You know, like this works with more, like the more gain you use, the more this will work.
Yeah, most of the so when you profile an amp like this, it automatically sets the clarity somewhere.
Definition?
Well, and the definition.
Okay.
But I don't typically mess with them.
Right.
Unless it doesn't sound like what I just.
Sure.
My main goal is, does it sound like what the amp?
Yeah.
That's the main goal.
Sure.
So.
But like when you just pick up
Yeah.
another guitar, like I always use this as like I'm picking up a guitar and I need to change the sound to whatever, which is like why I always, sometimes people, maybe like worship tutorials, they deliver a lot of times a single coil and a humbucker version of stuff.
Oh.
Because you do need, a lot of times you do need some change. I tend to like guitars that like work all together. Like it's one of the reasons I've gravitated towards Sooze guitars. I feel like all of their pickups are very well balanced. You could grab the P90s or the humbuckers or even the heavier guitars. And you kind of just get, it's like obviously they're using the same reference amp. But that amp, that like guitar, like Sooze is playing, is like an 80s Les Paul. It feels like it's way darker than it should be. But it's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I use so anyway. You don't use it a ton to like dial in exactly what you want, different guitars or whatever.
No, I really don't. I mean, and yeah, I mean, I think I like the difference of the different guitars too.
Yeah.
Like if I pick up another guitar, I'm not trying to make that guitar sound like the one I just was playing. I want it to be different.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
That's why you grabbed it.
That's why I grabbed it.
Right. What about you, Sooze? What do you use it for?
Definition?
Yeah. Like how do you view it?
I know this is like not accurate, but I always thought of it as like a tilt EQ.
Yeah.
You know, like a little less. I'm sure that's not what it's doing. Like
I mean, but that's how it feels. It's brighter on one end with not a lot of bass, and then like woofy and darker on the other.
Yeah. I typically would reach for it on bright profiles. That's when I go for it the most.
And you go down?
I go down.
Yeah.
Just because it's like I don't want to mess with like treble and presence and then
You want to cover that
for
cabinet with a blanket a little bit.
Yeah, like what if you just like, you know,
or give it a little heft.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's not enough like low end and things sound real.
Yeah. And
So
similar to how I would use like a cut control. It's the same. It's like, gosh, that's bright. I'll go to the definition, just back it off, and it's usually good. Yeah.
I tend to use it the most when you get to a gain range where I'm upping the gain, and then I go, oh, this could use less bass. Like the bass needs to be going down as I go up in gain. So
you
like
go up on definition a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tend to just prefer it because sometimes on the amps you can't get rid of any more bass or whatever. So like on a Marshall, you know, maybe I've got the bass already at 0 on the normal channel. And one of the great things about a Kemper, you take a normal channel of a Marshall and it's like too dark and you just up the definition a bit and it's like, oh, it still sounds like the normal channel, but it's like kind of way better. Like you just gained enough clarity that it's not so, you know. So I look at it like on Tone Junkie profiles, I want like less bass when you're at that 3 or 4 mark. And especially when you're at the 5. Like stuff needs to be getting a little tighter.
On the gain, you're saying.
Yeah. People are saying, but HW, you only profile clean.
Well, now we have these.
Yeah. These are decidedly not clean.
Play this one more time so we can hear. All right, I'm going to up this thing to 8.
Right. So the bottom end is tighter.
Yeah.
Because it's not so boomy.
Yeah.
On the chugs.
The chugs, to me, it's like we said, we did this clarity video.
Yeah.
It's like, who did I say said that thing? I think it was like I can't remember. Steve Stevens. He's like, but listen, there's treble in my bass. And it hits the low strings, do 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 do, and it's like that. But play, you hear more. It's like a more defined hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much do you need your bass player today? Is what you could call this knob.
Yeah, I mean when you're playing heavier stuff and you're doing you want that tight, you know, you don't want to lose the bottom end, and that's what's tricky about this.
Yeah.
Is that you don't want to lose the bottom end, but you want the chugs to be defined.
Yeah.
You know, when you drop it all the way down, you lose all of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's just like
there's generally like a range. Like we were at, here's 5.7 again. Yeah, play a little more there. That's obviously brighter, you know, and like more defined. But to me, it's like I could hear this working maybe between 4.5 and 7.5.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you just want to balance it a little bit with how deep you want the bass. A lot of high gain amps have a depth control.
Right.
But it doesn't do anything. So what I like when you said about like the tilt EQ, the depth control just is managing that super sub low frequencies. It's not doing anything really to the high end, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what's nice about this. It's kind of a little bit of both.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about digital, when you can control more than one sort of thing happening at once.
Right.
You kind of get controls that are really superior, I think, to a tube amp, which is almost always going to be just some sort of a pass filter, a high or low pass filter. You can set that as low as you want, right? You can set like a high pass filter to be all the way down at 50.
Yeah, where is the cue? How wide is it?
And so when you're cutting it all out, it's like I'm letting everything above 80 pass through.
Right.
That's still going to be a very full sound. It's going to be a very balanced sound. You still got plenty of low end down to 80, but you're controlling everything else.
Right.
And when you have a lot of that, you can like afford to do it. But when you can, like I remember Kemper at one point changed the presence knob to, as you roll it up, it starts to add mid-range. Mm-hmm. And they said, and that's when everyone started saying they liked the EQ on the Kemper. I remember Christoph mentioned that to me one time. He's like, when we modified the presence control to start adjusting some mid-range too. And you can do a thing where it's like the presence from 0 to 3 controls maybe one thing, but from 3 to 6, another small change sweeps.
I mean,
you know,
smart control.
Probably some tube amps behave that way.
Sure. Yeah.
But they're not trying to.
Yeah.
It's probably like a kink that they couldn't get out. You know what I mean? It's like these components, as we ramp these components up, it affects these other things too.
It could be a bit like if you are on a Vox and you want more mids, the only way to get it really is to up the bass and treble, because you get more frequency below, you know, whatever, like down the treble, up the bass. You have no mids, but you can get mids in that control. And then if you want less bass, pull the mic back, and maybe on a mic pre, pull the bass down.
Right.
You've just got yourself more low mids, and by turning the control up, but the bass you didn't want, you were able to take away by removing any proximity effect of the mic, which will lower the bass. And then maybe you have a shelf, or you have a graphic EQ, and you can dump some bass. Like that's how you would do it. You know what I mean? Or, because on the amp you're tied together, but that's effectively the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just, but you need to take 2 stages or 2 steps to get the same thing that you could kind of do on a digital device, you know, to get there.
Turns out Kemper's pretty cool.
It is really cool, which is why it's still king to me. You know what I mean? I just made a video going, is Tonex now number 1? Right. And it might be in terms of like how many people are on it and doing the thing.
Well, it's new.
It's the
and
hot thing.
It's hot, but the Kemper has, I'll say this, the Kemper, whatever programming he's done in the capturing part of it is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Because
it's ahead of its time, man. Nobody
does it. Nobody, like, in terms of like accuracy per minute of profiling, nobody even comes close.
Right.
You know,
it takes a lot of training and a lot of thinking to get close to this.
Yeah.
That it's
this
not.
does it in literally 1 minute.
Minutes,
It does it in 1 minute. It's
That's
insane.
pretty wild.
It's actually insane how fast it is.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's interesting how this control for guitar players can be used for different things. Yeah. Like for me, low gain and clean, it's like one thing. It's kind of doing the same thing, but for high gain, it's like you just might employ it at a different time.
Yeah, you definitely want different things out of it.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you, because you've been making a lot of profiles lately, and a lot of Tonex stuff, and a lot of Quad Cortex stuff, and you guys have both been doing some Helix stuff.
Oh yeah, Helix profiles for all the Metal Junkie stuff available now.
Helix is up there. Hopefully people got an email.
Tone matched.
They did get an email about it. I don't know why I said hopefully. Hopefully they opened the email about it.
Hopefully they opened the email about it.
It's all.
They actually sound. I hate. They sound really good.
They do sound really good.
They sound really good.
Okay, so we obviously have shared some opinions about different platforms. You've let us know what you think about the Helix, but then this high gain stuff ended up sounding really good, which is not really an area of the Helix we've pushed into before.
Right.
And different amp models sound different. In your opinion, this was my other topic for the podcast. In your opinion, which platform is best for high gain?
Goodness.
No pressure.
A question.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we've never really talked about this. We've talked, a lot of times in general, we're talking about lower gain, clean, some rock kind of stuff.
Honestly, okay. I like the way my profiles sound on the Quad Cortex the most. That's where I like the sound of them the most.
Interesting.
But the quad core,
What about it? What about the sound do you like?
it captures the most accurate low end.
Okay.
Like when you go back and forth between the
Noticeably.
amp and the
Yes. Noticeably.
This is something I have noticed at times about Tonex as well. When I notice a difference, it's the low ends that's different.
Yeah.
It's not the rest of it.
Now, sometimes, and we just praised the Kemper. Sometimes
Yes.
the Kemper
We'll shave off low end.
shits the bed
Yeah.
with capturing low end.
Right.
That is
accurately.
Bye bye low end.
Yeah. I would say that is
Yeah.
a criticism I've heard even before I got into Kemper.
Okay.
It's something I asked Christoph very early on about.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember back when we were doing profiles in the studio at
Yeah.
the church studio.
Yeah.
And we actually, I think it was maybe the first time we did that. We're like, man, this thing is so cool. What is it really doing? And we pulled up an EQ analyzer and we're like, oh, it's shelving off everything under 100.
Yeah.
Like noticeably, the Kemper just does that.
There's for sure.
Right. And it's like, okay, cool. Like we don't typically need that information anyway.
And I remember I would always do this with people. Like I would tell you guys, okay, all right, don't look. And I'd switch.
Yeah.
And in general, or people would come in the room and, we'd show them the Kemper. And in general, when profiles were cleaner, people tended to say, oh, I like that one. And they would often choose the reference amp. But as the gain went up, the opinions would shift to the Kemper.
Oh, interesting.
And I always thought this is just a function of low end. When it's a nice big, you can appreciate like a nice. Now a lot of these were cleaner amps we were doing, but like you can appreciate a nice big full solid bass. But as the gain went up and it got a little tighter, people liked that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It felt punchier.
For sure. So I like the way my profiles sound on the Quad Cortex the most.
Interesting.
I don't think it's the best platform for all situations, though.
Yeah.
So I think Tonex is probably the most versatile platform if you have the software and a pedal.
Sure, you can run it as a plug-in.
Because running it as a plug-in is just the easiest thing.
If you were going to go play a gig like a week-long tour with a metal band, and you could take any of the stuff,
I would use the Quad Cortex.
you'd bring it with you.
Yeah, it's
you'd
the smallest.
definitely choose an all-in-one. The Tonex is kind of out for that.
Yeah, the Tonex.
Right.
It's like and for there, I have like a free Metal Junkie patch that you can, and that would be basically what I would swap out there's like a gain channel and a clean channel. Swap out the gain and the clean with whatever you want.
And go for it.
That's basically what I would use. I can't think of a situation that I would need anything other than those two things.
Yeah.
Really.
And that's not really a knock on the Tonex. It's just
No,
you would take an all-in-one.
I would take an all-in-one
for that gig. Yeah.
for that thing, and that would be. But if I'm sitting down and recording or doing stuff at home,
will you lose your
Tonex.
metal license if you go silent stage at a metal show?
No, man. Nobody, dude. No,
I bet they're popular.
Nobody. Very few metal people are going like. Let me say it this way.
Are you saying the metal guys all got old, John?
No, I'm saying the younger metal guys are all
They're all vegan and care about their hearing.
one of my favorite bands is called Periphery, and they're all Axe-Fx.
Yeah.
Metallica uses Axe-Fx.
Periphery is that guy has been using a Quad Cortex on some. Isn't he in his studio? Doesn't he have a?
Oh, in the studio they have everything.
Yeah. I think he has a bunch of videos in his studio about using the Quad Cortex.
They have everything.
Yeah.
But live they
It's
use
Axe-Fx.
Axe-Fx.
Yeah.
And it's all built out with
Sure. Yeah.
auto switching and all
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
That seems to be the way to go. Now you hook everything.
So,
up to one system.
I think it's on the stage I think it's more about versatility and
Yeah.
I think on one of our NAMM videos I think I said something like, features per cubic inch.
Yes.
Right? It's
Right.
like the Quad Cortex is unbeatable
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Right? But sitting down and recording, like all of my stuff every time I'm writing music, it's all Tonex because
Yeah.
it's so easy.
Yeah. So you're
The
not going
plug-in.
to take.
Yeah.
So you won't. So Quad Cortex if you're going out.
Yeah.
Tonex there.
Tonex. If Quad Cortex had, so it's actually
Okay, what if you
kind
could-
of funny.
Yes.
Because I have a bunch of Neural DSP plugins
Yes,
too, and I
yes.
love those things.
Yes.
And everyone wants those things on the QC.
on the QC.
I actually want like a QC native.
Right? I agree. Yeah.
I think a QC native would be
just
as
you
would
could
be
plug
excellent.
it in and do QC control. I mean,
Yeah, that's not what I mean though.
No.
I'm talking
You want to
like
plug it into your interface.
I'm talking like I want to add as what are they called? Like add a plugin to this channel in Logic as Quad Cortex.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
like Helix Native, like
Helix Native
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
Tonex.
yeah.
Is it that different if you just plug it in and like leave it a little bit away from you, that you're controlling it remotely?
No, I do that. The problem is the thing about using Logic in that way is that if I switch to another channel,
Yeah.
that other preset
I
is
see.
still there.
Yeah.
If I switch to another channel, I have to physically switch the Quad Cortex to a different
And
channel.
changes after the fact.
And you have to remember what you used.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
like,
It's not saved in the set.
yeah, and things like delay trails and all of that.
Totally.
You know,
I see. That's true.
it's like a whole thing.
So you're going quad cortex is the best for high gain. That's what
I
you're
think
saying.
for my profiles, when I'm hearing all three platforms back to back to back to back, which we've pointed out too, like very few people are doing that.
Actually, yeah.
Right. But when I'm doing it back to back to back to back, it's the Quad Cortex to me.
Now, may I tell a secret?
Sure.
Obviously, we put out one demo for all of the packs, and this was something kind of different that we hadn't really done
For the Metal Junkie stuff.
for Metal Junkie. We've now
Yeah.
done it once or twice by the time
Yeah.
it comes out, maybe 3 times
Yeah.
for Tone Junkie, and it's something we're kind of testing. Do we do one demo and just say, here's the demo, here's kind of what it sounds like? Now, we didn't advertise this, but none of the demos were on QC, right?
No, not mine.
Yeah.
They're all Tonex.
Yeah.
One
Is it
was
one
Kemper.
one's the Kemper?
Oh, one's the
Yeah,
Kemper.
you can.
That's right.
I'll let people
You
go
can
look.
see
You can
it.
see the Kemper
You can
sitting
see
right
the
behind.
Kemper.
You can see it
That's
on
right.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But the other two were Tonex.
The other two were
in the
Tonex.
demos themselves.
Yeah.
But
Again, for
how close do they all sound?
they sound very so close.
You have to do an A/B test.
You
to
have
hear
to
the
be
difference, right?
literally
I
sitting
mean, you couldn't
next.
pick
You have
out-
to be switching back and
Yes.
forth.
And so it probably really
Yeah.
comes down to the effects you like better and the switching for like what you're going to use live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to throw out what you're monitoring through, because
Sure,
when we were on speakers, we were like, these are indiscernible. Some
Right.
of these platforms. And then you
Right.
said on headphones, it's
When I plugged it
more
for,
apparent.
for the Helix
the Helix,
stuff.
yeah.
When we were doing the Helix
yeah.
tone matching.
Yeah.
Yeah. In your office, it was like this is
Yeah.
Yeah, and that tells
so
you
close.
That
When
tells
I
you.
yeah. On headphones, it was more noticeable, but it was
Because
just
it's
like
like a microscope in your ear.
yeah.
I mean,
But
it's
it was
like-
also just like it's actually like less. I need less gain for
Yeah,
this.
little
It's
tweaks
like
and
little
stuff,
tweaks.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
not-
it tells you that when you're listening in a room, you're hearing the filter of the room as well, and that equalizes things
For sure.
Like
Yeah,
that
that's
same,
true.
you know,
sure.
that's what's making it sound.
it's different
the
than
same.
blasting.
Yeah.
Over like so much gain like into your ears.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, Sooze. Maybe you're not on high gain, but what's your
Which one's the best?
What's your best?
not for high gain.
Well, just for you.
Just for whatever?
you.
I recently played. I haven't been doing my church gig, but I played on a Sunday for the first time in like 6 months.
Yeah.
And I took the Tonex out and had a blast.
Big church,
your
little
pedal
church.
board.
It was
what
a
was
little.
the band
It was like a medium-sized Baptist church
Sure.
and full band.
few hundred
and
people, 1,000 people,
600, maybe?
600.
Yeah.
Good size.
So
a
you
lot
had
of
your
people
pedal.
just said that's huge.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Fair enough.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of people who have.
Yeah.
I just want to throw this out just for
Yeah.
context.
All right.
We've all played in front of. What's the biggest crowd you've ever played in front of?
Well, for him, probably not church.
It wasn't church. I win.
But just biggest crowd.
It was like 15,000.
Okay, that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, probably maybe 4,000.
I could have you beat, and I'm only going to say this is a big technicality. I played in Candlestick Park, or it was 3 Comp Park.
Wow.
No, it was the new ballpark, Pac Bell it was called at the time. And we did music before and after, but we also did America.
The Beautiful.
Yeah. We did that song in front of a Giants game,
Ah.
and it was 3 of us.
Right.
That's not. They weren't there to see me.
I was just gonna. That's the question.
Right.
Who were they
So
there
I'm just
to
gonna
see?
say some
Yeah.
little technicality, but I don't know how many people were there either. So it might be more or
Right.
less. But that
Right.
was
Yeah, interesting.
I think that
I
was
like it.
that was. I happened to play music in a place
Right.
with many people.
I was
right?
there that day.
Yes.
I would also
Yeah.
like to say that same band also played shows for less than 30 people.
Isn't
at
that
times.
amazing?
That is
So,
wild.
Yeah.
Okay, largest place. Just because for context, I think there's so many people,
Yeah.
especially the church people who listen to this, who will never play for more than a 200 people, and I think that's pretty common, and that's okay. And now there's some people who play at really big churches, and they go, "There's 3,000 people in this sanctuary." You know what I mean? And then there's some people who play, but it's just funny that we say, because here it's not hard to find a church of more than 600 people. In San
Totally.
Francisco, that would have been pretty difficult.
Right.
There was only a handful, is what I'm saying. Here, there's probably 80.
Right.
Would we say there's 80 in this county?
For sure.
Yeah,
For
I'd say
sure.
in Williamson County, there's 80 churches.
For sure.
Yeah. Church be popular around
Yes,
here.
yes, yes.
Okay, so you had your pedal board, Big Sky timeline.
Wait, first, largest
Yeah.
ever, our largest group. Largest.
Oh, I said 4,000.
Oh, 4,000, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking after that thing, the next thing is I one time played at the Hard Rock in Florida. That would be my official. I don't know how many people were there.
Okay.
It could have been 1,000 people.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, and I was totally happy with the tone. Got
Yeah.
a lot of comments from the band. Man, that sounds great.
What
Man, are you
profiles
using?"
are you
I was
using?
using the
the 18
the
watt?
18 watt, yeah, one
18 custom.
on the Tonex, yeah.
I didn't even know that. This isn't a shameless plug. I mean, this was,
Right.
you
Brought
know,
to
we
you by
happen to
the
be playing
18
it.
watt,
We
yeah.
happen to be playing it today, and that's what Sooze
That sounds
used.
good.
Right.
You
It
did
does
tell
sound
me. I
great.
just forgot.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Boogie MK7 also sounds good.
Did you play that in church? This
Dag,
week?
Dag Does Might. Dag Does Might sounds great.
I will counter John and say I think my least favorite solution is Quad Cortex. I just can't get into that thing. It's not my
Wait,
jam.
what'd you play this weekend that you liked?
The Tonex.
Oh, I thought you said the Quad Cortex. Here I am here
The whole time. The whole time.
I was like, wow.
Tonex. Yeah. The Tonex really, I'm in a phase. I mean, I think I'm Kemper through and through. I think if I could only have one, I would have a Kemper stage. It's just like the best unit.
Yeah.
But I'm in a phase right now where like I really want to play my pedals again.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
what, you know, so now I'm like, hey, I just want amps. Even the Kemper player would be great for that, you know, but
and you're using your old school drives that
just the stuff I used in 2007.
I was going to
man.
say it's
Like,
very
yeah,
TGP.
Timmy and JHS pedals and Strymon. Like
Yeah.
it just
Right.
sounds like, you know,
Is it the Charlie Brown
Charlie Brown, yeah,
and Timmy?
yeah, and then I think actually on this one I had used the Protein, you know.
It's such like a financial collapse era board. It's like that.
That's funny.
It's like
It really is. Yeah. That's so funny.
it's that
But-
era of tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say for me it's probably still Kemper all around, but
Yeah.
the Tonex is fantastic, dude. And actually I find myself recommending it more than the Kemper these days. When people
Sure.
say, "Hey, I want to get into modeling," or "I want to try some Tone Junkie stuff," I
mean,
say,
yeah.
"Get a Tonex one.
It's
Throw,
179.
throw like our free stuff on it
Yeah.
and have fun."
Yeah.
You know?
I know the cost is for sure makes it the easiest place to get into,
Yeah.
and it fits in with basically whatever rig you already
Whatever.
have.
You know, someone left a comment.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of it. Someone left a comment, and we did this video talking about what's number one, and it said something like, I said, you know, Tonex seems to be number one. It outsold the Kemper 1 month at Tone Junkie, the everything pack for the Tonex outsold the Kemper everything pack. And someone said, wow, you mean a 179 unit sold better than a $1,600 unit?
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, that's not really what we're talking about. I mean, there's always been cheap units. We're not saying the Ampero 2 is all of a sudden more popular than the Kemper, but
Right.
you know what I mean? Like because there hasn't been huge adoption of that.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think
it's not
that's
like
the thing.
people
It's
have
like,
been running out to buy the Ampero or whatever.
right. There's other capturing solutions that have been out there, or even
Yeah.
tone matching, or
just
whatever.
modeling or whatever. Like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but the Tonex is new. It's the newest, cheapest,
Yeah.
most like the catalog is huge on that thing.
Yeah.
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 I mean, not just from us.
For-
There's
yeah,
so
yeah.
much
There's-
stuff on
there's just
there.
a million things
You
out
know?
there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna say? It
You're
doesn't
gonna
need to
say
be
the
said.
Kemper.
I'm gonna say
That's
the
fine.
Kemper.
The
you know,
Kemper is
you know.
king.
Look, I mean, you play something.
If
for
you were
long
gonna go
enough
on
and
a
it gives
gig,
you
you
what
play
you
the
want.
Kemper?
That's what I take all the time. I take it all the time.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: I had to play acoustic guitar at a thing. I took my HX Stomp. Just a Stomp.
Interesting.
I needed to run an acoustic IR, and I downloaded it from Worship Tutorials. And I put on a little compressor. That's mostly what I wanted. A little bit of verb, and I had it right there. And I used
Probably sounded really good.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. And I used and I played a little Taylor GS Mini.
Sounded like you said turd. I played a turd.
I played a turd, a turd of a guitar. And I played a little Taylor GS Mini.
It's right there.
It's right there. It's in the bag.
And I brought, the other thing I brought with me was the page turner.
Simple rig.
That changes the music in front of me on my iPad.
Yeah.
Come on. That's a good rig right there.
That is a good rig. You know who else has a page turner like that? Is the keyboard player from Dream Theater. He plays to sheet music.
That's incredible.
How's he supposed to remember all that stuff? There's so many notes.
He plays to sheet music.
Do you think everyone else is like, bro, just memorize the music? We do this for a living.
I know.
Right.
You wrote it.
Right.
These are your songs.
Also, nobody can read music this fast.
But you know what? That just
can't be helping. It's got to be just like slightly reminding.
Right.
Him,
Did you guys in California? This is the part of the podcast where it's ending. Did you guys in?
That's good. I have to leave soon.
Okay.
Right.
This is
signaling.
You'd go play in churches in California, and especially when the teams were real small. Maybe you'd go like play with somebody or some other church, or we'd do music for like in the summer. There'd be the churches that have like we're going on a houseboat trip, and they want to hire like a little group, and so you put together like a group of your friends, it'd be like 5 of you go out play on the back of a houseboat for a bunch of people, campers on the beach. You ever do something like that?
Very specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well,
I
that's
didn't do that specific thing, but sure.
Yeah. We
Yeah, it was
follow.
great.
Tracking.
Yeah.
Sleep on the houseboat under the stars. Set up my little Line 6 amp. Play a Good Morning song and do some.
The little spider.
Yeah, it was a Flux Tone, but yeah. So anyway, you try to put together a band. You go play at these different churches and stuff. How often did you play with a keyboard player who was obviously a classic trained keyboard player who just needed the sheet music like the whole time? Did you ever run into this? It was always like the young Asian girl who you could tell really wasn't that into piano, but she was so good because she had 300 recitals under her belt. You know what I mean? She was better than you on the piano. She was better than you are at guitar now.
On the
she
piano
was
then.
She was better on the piano at age 4.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just incredible. Definitely headed towards a STEM field or law. Piano was just the thing you did on the side. She wasn't trying to be a piano player.
Sure.
She probably didn't like it that much, but the fingers just moved so gracefully, And if you gave her the sheet music, I mean, it was like the tracks were playing,
Right.
But you give her the chord sheet, and it'd be like, I don't know what to play.
Right.
What am I supposed to play?
music,
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Guitar players are like the opposite of that.
the opposite.
I used to work with like the high school group at the church.
Yeah.
And there was one kid where like, he's like, what do these letters mean?
That was like
How did he-
Dusty when he came to our church.
How did
It
he
was the
tune
same
his
thing.
guitar?
He was like, what do these letters
How
mean?
did
I
he
was
tune
like,
his
do
guitar?
you know how to play a G? And he's like, no. He's like, I don't know what that is. I was like, can you play this? So he's like, oh yeah, I can play that.
You can't refer to it though.
So he knew knew how to play guitar, but he didn't know what anything was called.
Wow.
And I'm like, look, I'm all for it.
How could it even make sense
I
to you?
don't know how you.
It's just placement. It's just
I
if
don't
you
know
didn't
how
know
you-
they had letters attached to them,
Right,
you
like
could
I didn't-
still talk about them. you
Yeah,
know?
I don't know how. I think it must have just been tabs or something that
Yeah.
he learned.
But
on,
yeah,
and,
how
like,
did he learn? He just learned songs by ear,
By ear.
and learned.
Hey, dude, one of the best players or the best bass players in my life, Dusty, when he came to audition for the church, he lights out. I mean, that is a great bass player. And he asked me, he's like, dude, the first song, what is B followed by a little B?
You're like that one right
I was
there.
like the B flat. He was like, never in my life have I
Never
seen
heard-
that. I don't know what B flat is.
B
That's
followed
wild.
by
He's
the
like, but
little
it's
B.
first fret, right?
Yeah.
Your
A
first
string
fret?
first fret. Like
Right.
if you don't know the
Right.
So it was just like this huge disparity between like
How did he
little
tune it?
What's that?
How did he tune? Just by ear? I mean, he had to some reference.
Yeah, I mean, maybe knew that was an E string, but by
Yeah.
the time you say
And then
B
everything
flat,
out.
what in the heck are
Right.
you talking
Right,
about?
right,
you
right,
know?
right.
E flat? Oh no.
Right. And if no one explained to you sharps and flats are the same,
That's
you could just
what he's
write it
saying.
differently.
Yeah.
right.
Right.
You wouldn't know.
But
I mean,
he's a beast.
you know, I asked Nate. I called you like a few months ago because I had this piano
theory question.
book.
Yeah.
I had this piano book, and I was like, "What does this symbol mean?" He's like, "Oh, that's the natural symbol."
Yeah.
The key would have you play a flat there, but they're saying play a natural.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Just
music-
don't put the flat there.
Yeah, it's a little
yeah.
extra emphasis. It's
So
a
it's
little
like-
extra emphasis, like don't forget
It's
in
one of
case
these-
you were.
music
Yeah.
theory and all of that. It's one of these topics in life that's like you can go a long way by not going very deep.
Yeah.
That's
But there's
true.
like a giant well that you can fall down.
I mean, all the
then
rock
all of a
bands we
sudden-
grew up listening to are in this
None of them-
category.
yeah.
I mean,
But no, they would have known a
like,
G chord.
Yeah,
Because
maybe.
someone
I have
probably.
a suspicion maybe a lot of them just knew by looking, or like their friend taught them, or
But
their,
even if your
you know,
friend taught you or an older brother,
Yeah.
you'd probably start with like this is a this chord, this is a this chord.
true.
It's really you have
I don't
to.
know, man.
You got to be
I'm
pretty unique.
50-50 on it, dude.
I'm 50-50.
I think you
on
got to
it,
be
too.
pretty unique to sort of learn in a way that you would avoid those names. Like that's pretty remarkable. Your ear being, I mean, that takes a lot of talent.
Yeah.
That guy, I mean, I'm just saying that guy must have been 1% most talented people
Yeah.
naturally.
I
to
think
just
also
pick-
you can hear it when you learn, and if you don't keep it in front of you, you forget.
I think there's also it's like there's probably that's what I mean by like going shallow on things. Like you can learn the basic open chords and how to play a bar chord,
Yeah,
but not learn any of the notes up here.
that's true.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And so it's
cowboy
like
chords. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like you learn the open chords and you learn like the E and the A shaped bar chords,
Yeah.
and like now you can play.
You can have a whole career.
You can play every Blink-182 song. You never have to learn what any of these
Totally.
things are
Right,
named.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So there you go.
I saw an interview with Dave Grohl. Said the same thing. It's like people think I'm very smart and sophisticated. I just try stuff until it sounds good.
Right.
And I've made it this far doing that. And it's like I'm sure he's selling himself short.
Yeah,
but
sure.
The,
He's Dave
but the
Grohl.
point is,
Yeah.
The
like,
point is there.
I really
Yeah.
don't know what you're describing.
Right.
When
Yeah.
you analyze my music.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and at his level, he probably runs into people who are just wildly knowledgeable and talented and just
Yes.
understand music at,
Yes.
at a very different thing.
Right.
I will say this as a guitar player. Last thing we'll say, being a guitar player in my mid-30s, the older I get, the more I do realize I know a lot of people who are proficient on the instrument, and I think the way people's understanding of the instrument is built can all be very different. Like you can build this little house
Oh, yeah.
with very different things at the bottom layer.
For sure.
Very different things to like sort of rely on and relate to. And
Which is why if you hand all three of us the same guitar with the same profile, with the same sound, whatever, we
Yeah.
all play very different things.
yeah, even in the same genre, if you just said go fill, you know this song, right? Go fill in
100%.
right now. Like play on this track. Here's a sheet. Go play on the track. We'd all say it's simple, and we would get it. Even if there's like a main line, we would just choose different voicings. We would just
Right.
do different stuff rhythmically. We would just come up with different things. Just the way we would even just choose anything.
It's like when you played on my demo.
Oh
And
yeah.
you're like, teach me how to play this. And you're
Right.
like, man, this is so outside
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
that I would play.
It's like in the center of your target.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yeah, not mine.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
All right, guitar friends. This has been episode late 30s, 38, and
Wow.
not random.
not
No,
random anymore.
totally.
Least random of all
Yeah,
numbers.
that's an even number.
The least random.
Yeah.
Least random of all numbers. 38. We're running hot on 40's trail. 39, then
played
40.
the guitar.
We played the guitar. We
And
were
talked
very
about it.
pointed. We talked about music. We talked
Wow.
about a lot of stuff. We talked about the
Who
Devil's Interval. This was a guitar-packed episode.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All the naysayers.
And and I don't think
We're
we
a
mentioned
guitar podcast.
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned Cheez-Its in this episode. Was that the last episode or this
The
one?
last one.
That was the last one. So it wasn't even this
And hot
episode.
dogs.
And
Yeah.
hot dogs.
Wow.
All right. I've been HW.
I've been Sooze.
I'm still John too.